window, and I seen the planets, and all of a sudden I'm outside of the building and I'm looking at the planets. Everybody could see these planets. They were just huge, and people were running, and I was.
Here in January of 2023, I'm going to assemble a few items of info and observation regarding the Planet X situation. One of the main things we'll look into is the fact that over the years, there are various people having distinctive dreams or visions about a huge planet in the solar system that has become clearly visible to everyone, and the ominous implications surrounding that. Before we move into the subject of dreams and Planet X, let's look at a few more brief examples of things that we are seeing in the skies. In the view here, we're at Plaza Independencia, Pachuca, captured on July 8th, 2022. And let's observe for a minute. First, we'll notice the surges or fluctuations in the skylight. Isn't it perhaps just some kind of camera equipment artifact that causes the apparent flickering of the sky? And the answer to that is, as I've said already, no, it's not an equipment or technical artifact. Thus, with the fact that these light fluctuations are real and coming from beyond our sky, we have a startling anomaly here. Yet, we're not startled or taken aback in the least, because we just can't help but presume it's nothing. It just has to be a camera light sensor reaction or something like that. And this phenomena has been persistently occurring over the past several years. Now, as you can see there, the video is playing in fast forward. Thus, it is requisite to ask, are not those light fluctuations just a visual effect caused by running the footage at high playback speed? And the answer is no. The light fluctuations are not simply an effect of the footage playing in fast forward. And one simple step to affirm or rule out this possible cause is to view the footage at regular speed to see if this phenomena still occurs. And I've already checked that in different dates and locations over the years, and simply the fluctuations are still there when the footage plays in real-time speed. To finish my comments on this, I'll set the playback speed back to the original in which the video was recorded. Okay, we're playing at original speed now, and quickly it becomes evident why I speed up the footage in trying to put this video discussion together. I'm referring to how long it takes to view the 20 minutes or however long the footage is that we want to take into our perspective. We'll now observe this area here. And again, the point we're establishing is that the abrupt fluctuations in the light do occur when the footage is playing at normal speed and not just an artificial effect caused by playing the video at fast-forward speed. And just there was one of these events. Let's back up a little bit and pin down the timing of what happened here. The light fluctuation occurs precisely on the 16 seconds time point. So in the footage, we've backed up to the 9 seconds time point, 7:01 a.m. and 9 seconds. We'll hit play, and the anomaly will occur in about 7 seconds. Observe. And here we have the exact time spot where the anomaly occurs. I'll play this segment again from the 9 to the 20 seconds mark to make it easy to observe and assimilate this one specific fluctuation. There, and we'll run that clip once more. Voila! One factor to take into account here is if there is a skip or a time jump in the footage, then of course any apparent light fluctuation on that spot is non-applicable to our subject. Now there's another light surge coming up at the 2 minutes and 6 seconds time spot. We'll let the footage play on through that point, and there's a useful detail we'll highlight in that. And there it occurred at the 6 seconds time point. Now we'll back up just before that drop in the light. And here we are before the event. Now notice the time in this frame, which is 7:02 and 6 seconds. And in the next frame, the change happens, and the time is still 7:02:06. This shows that the light fluctuation occurs within 1 second and is not just an illusion created by fast-forward view. We'll now let the footage play on, covering about 20 minutes of real time, but with fast-forward we can see it in just a couple minutes, during which we have an ongoing, remarkable, and perplexing, anomalous situation. That illuminated object is not supposed to be there, not according to the established academic view of our solar system. The direction we're facing is west, thus the sunrise is behind us in the east. So the paramount questions we have are, what is that light in the west morning sky? And what is the source or cause of the repeating fluctuations of the light? We'll come back to unveiling those answers later, but for the moment our purpose is to note the remarkable situation of having a celestial light such as this, when we know also that the sun is not at all in this view. We have raised these same observations and questions in previous discussions. The time here is about 7:16. Hopping forward about 30 minutes, we can view the sunrise progress by the illuminated area and its advancement in correlation with the sun's track, thus demonstrating clearly the sun is situated behind us, while at the same time we have this in front of us. Let's go back to this frame. A moment ago, we jumped to this time point in the footage to note the light area and shadow line which demonstrates where the sun is. While this frame was showing, you might have noticed this faint impression. I know it's not very obvious at first, but when your eyes adjust and discern it, well, then it's easy to see, with a distinctly spherical form. For me, during the first few years of seeing continual instances of this kind of spherical object in the sky, I didn't have sufficient data to arrive at a conclusion about it. But now, these days, I do have a conclusive view that it is in fact a celestial body, as per my discussions in other episodes. And so the specific detail I'm referring to is within this area here. Let's try adjusting the brightness and contrast a bit. Gradually, as our eyes adjust and discern the image, we can see that there is more there than just the front item we've noted. We've got this and this. If we back away from the picture, this can tighten the definition of lines and various details to where they're more easily seen. Here, we've zoomed out a bit, and the three objects are indeed a little more clear. Now that's a pretty wild claim to take in, the proposition that there are three planetary objects there. Well, to make matters worse, we look over here to the left, and we've got planetary object number 4. One key to getting a visual grip on it is to notice this upper shoulder of the circular object, and that leads our vision onto the rest of it. Now it's useful to note this detail, this stretch of cloud. This is in fact one of the hallmark details of these elusively visible spherical bodies. So we have an apparent belt or ring of clouds that accompanies one or more of these planets. Here's another example. And here's a frame from 6 minutes later. It's important to know that these images from the video footage are simply raw, unaltered snapshots with no contrast adjustment or any manipulation. So, how do we explain that spherical entity there at about top center? Are we able to realize how incredible this is in front of our eyes here? These two snapshots are 6 minutes apart. Thus, we can evaluate the details in this object between the two captures. And again, the specific detail that I'm pointing out at the moment is this streak, or these streaks, of cloud or whatever it is, that are with the spherical body. We have another example captured on the 17th of August, 2020, at Park Royal Beach, Cancun. Is anything grabbing your attention here? I'm referring to this. Of specific interest is this part. Once again, we have a kind of belt that moves along with the spherical body. Notice the behavior of this dense stretch of belt when those spikes or flashes occur in the sky illumination. The illumination level in this belt also spikes. It seems that this part of the object is highly reflective or associated somehow with the overall light fluctuations. Let's have the camera footage play on for a few minutes here and observe, because we do in fact have an incredible situation in front of our nose here. I'd like to underscore the important detail in this view that over a span of several minutes, this round object continues to hold the specific form of a spherical body with the characteristic of a kind of belt attached. By having the patience to observe the footage over a little time, we're able to identify and document details like the course of movement of the object. For example, right now the object is here. Now I'm going to leave those marks right where they are, but we'll back up about 10 minutes in the video. So the time here is 10:46 and backing up 10:36. Look at the difference in position. Or in other words, the object is moving to the left in its course. One important observation is that there are more than just this one planet visible in this area. And one of these is here. The blinking or surging of the sky illumination seems to be busier than ever here. We've backed up a couple minutes to mark a starting point of this object, to be a reference point in tracking its course. Okay, so we've zeroed in on it again here, and now we'll track its movement as the video footage plays on. Notice the left side of the sphere, that it's moving beyond the square that marks our starting point. Judging from my own experience, the stunning importance of what's in front of our eyes here will, for the most part, just not sink in to our realization, for a number of reasons. Now, so far, we've pointed out two different planetary objects in this view. Now, a moment ago, we were considering this belt of cloud or some type of debris that is with this planet. I gave some observations about this hypothesis in a previous video, Planet X in View number 16. I'd like to show about 5 minutes from that discussion here. A segment from Planet X in View number 16, the Nemesis. The date of this footage, January 27th, 2021. Let's observe the sky for a moment. Look. That's incredible. Do you realize that what we can see here is seriously huge? Huge in terms of major news headlines that should have blazed around the world on television, radio, and printed broadcasts. In terms of size, though, it's also huge. From the info we have thus far, that object would be roughly the size of planet Earth. Also, consider for a moment, if this area of the sky was plastered with chemtrail spraying, such as in the examples we've looked at, do you think this extraordinary object would be visible? Notice this streak of white. At some point, we might have presumed that to be a chemtrail. But in this case, it's not. And the correct assessment of what that is stunning. It's a belt or a kind of ring that travels with the planet wrapped around it, of either clouds and atmosphere or perhaps debris or plasma, don't know what, but it is attached or wrapped with the planet. This is one of the distinctive characteristics that is often visible, showing that at least one or more of these planetary bodies do have a sort of ring or atmospheric belt of some kind that also becomes a tail that drags behind the celestial body in its movement. A fundamental means of discerning whether an appearance like this is real or merely a coincidental mirage is to have video footage in which the detail of interest can be observed in its movement, as opposed to having only a still frame snapshot. Over the next 30 minutes, this celestial body continues along its orbital path, and from our viewpoint, it moves toward the left. Let's put a vertical line here to mark the position of this object. Thus we can note that the left edge of the circle pretty much aligns with the left side of that building. Later, of course, this marker will help establish clearly what movement has transpired. We'll speed up the playback here in order to watch about 30 minutes of footage in 3 minutes. And also we'll reduce the image size to try and concentrate the definition a little bit. You do realize this has been here before, in ancient times. Also, from ancient days, there are a number of prophecies that in the latter days, or in the last dispensation of the world, this would come back again. And in a lot of those messages of ancient origin, this thing is called the Destroyer. Just there, we had a profound event of bursts or convulsions in the sky illumination above the horizon there. That display is quite extraordinary. We've got other things to cover, so we won't go into a detailed examination here, aside from simply taking note of that wild effect. That the video cam was simply recording what was actually happening in the sky there. So think about it. What could be going on in our solar system to precipitate an event like that? And the overall answer is the same as what we've already noted many times, is that this is part of the general event of the approach and proximity of the Nemesis system, the destroyer. Turning to another aspect of information regarding the colossal event that is unfolding over the world in this present day and age, we have the numerous people around the world having dreams or visions of this very event. We're going to play a few video clips from people who've posted their account or their experience of a soul-stirring dream they've had in which they were in the events of a huge planet arriving in the sky and many other things, or where they are seeing multiple planets somehow in our solar system, etc., etc. This young man, who I'll call Jason, shares with us an intense, incredible dream experience that he had in March of 2016. Listen to this.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is my first video that I've really ever put up on YouTube. Just wanted to make this video and talk about a dream that I had 3 nights ago. It was really crazy. Now, I'm not really the kind of person that ever believed in Nibiru. I saw some videos for it back in about 2008. And, you know, I just thought it was kind of ridiculous and stupid and silly. It was one of those things, you know, that you just didn't, you saw the video and you kind of just glanced over it and just skipped by it. But, so about 3 nights ago, I'm dreaming, and, I mean, I get goosebumps just even thinking about it. I go upstairs, and outside, out back of my house, the entire sky is just lit up red. The whole sky is lit up red. Now, this is, you know, I've seen red skies before, but this was not normal. And then, all of a sudden, where the sun comes up, where, you know, right behind our house, where the sun comes up, there is a big planet, and I mean huge. It took up the entire sky except for, like, you know, 12 noon. It was, I don't know how I didn't notice it right away, but I saw the sky was red, and then all of a sudden this planet is just there. It was like it just appeared out of nowhere. And it had like craters all over it, and it had a red mist coming off of it. And a couple seconds after I looked at it, I see things getting sucked into it, like and the force is just pulling it. You know, whatever gravitational forces or whatever, it's just pulling everything into it like a black hole. I know that's probably not possible through physics or whatever, so I don't know. It was a dream. But anyway, all of a sudden I feel my feet getting lifted out from underneath of me, and I'm getting dragged. I mean, I am literally getting dragged into this thing. I am flying through the air. I've got objects flying next to me, other people, you know. I didn't recognize any of them, but and as soon as I, you know, right before I got completely sucked into it and hit it, I woke up. I finally fully woke up. And let me tell you something, this is the most scared I think I've ever been in my life after a dream. Ever. I mean, if anybody else has had an experience like this or anything even similar, please, you know, like my video and respond. If anybody has any explanations for, you know, any dream analysis or what this could mean, it was really scary, and it's really got me thinking a lot more about Planet X, because I don't know what that was that I experienced. And it's all I've been able to think about for the past few nights and days. I've been afraid to go back to sleep because of this thing warning me. I guess that's all I got to say, and yeah, just have a good day, and if you have any thoughts, comments, let me know. See ya.
What a stunning dream vision experience. The significance of Jason's dream is magnified by the fact that we have numerous people from different places also seeing and experiencing these things in their startling planet dreams. Here are 3 of the paramount points in his narrative. It is significant that these same points arise in many other people's dreams and visions regarding this thing. Let's listen now to an experience from Miss Bella Orsi. She had this dream on June 5th, 2016. The video where she shares the event is audio only, so no picture.
And then like the scenery changes. And now I'm standing in the heavens, okay? And I'm above the earth. And I could see in front of me this huge planet, okay? It was just so huge. And it was like looking like at a Jupiter type planet. It was that big. It was a big planet. It was I think it was a little bit smaller than Jupiter, but it was gigantic, okay? It was at least like 10 Earths. So it was just like hovering over us, like right in our grill. It was like right in our face. When I was standing there, I was like in awe. As I was staring at this thing, it was just like this monster ready to engulf the earth. I mean, it was just right there. There was a moon that was, I believe, connected to this or the other, because there was like a total of 5 planets when I was looking out, but with Earth and our moon, it was a total of 7 planets, okay? Because I was not even standing on Earth, I was above it. And each planet had different colors. So this big planet that was just right in our face, a planet that looked like Jupiter, but it was red, and it was just right there. And then it had a moon off of it. It looked like when I looked at it, it was like almost like because I saw like a yellow.
Wow. Let's take a moment to assimilate the details of what Bella shared with us here. She describes the main object of the dream to be a huge planet, gigantic, and she specifies the color of it to be red.
Looking like at a Jupiter type planet, but it was gigantic, okay? It was at least like 10 Earths. So this big planet that was just right in our face, a planet that looked like Jupiter, but it was red.
We'll refer back to that point going forward. Another specific detail Bella gives us is that there were multiple planets in this dream revelation.
Or the other, because there was like a total of 5 planets when I was looking out, but with Earth and our moon, it was a total of 7 planets, okay? Because I was not even standing on Earth, I was above it.
It's interesting that Bella's perception from the dream was that there were 7 planets. And of course, one correlating factor that comes to mind is the announcement from NASA in 2017 regarding the TRAPPIST-1 system, consisting of a brown dwarf-type star with 7 Earth-sized planets orbiting the non-illuminated star. 7 planets. Also of significance, Bella says these planets had different colors. being specifically noted in Bella's dream. Expanding on that, we'll now watch another account of a dream involving these same key aspects.
And I printed this out, and I also drew these out because this is what I saw in my dream. So, in my dream, I was at my dad's old house, a house that I grew up in, and I remember being in the home, and that particular home, it had this big, huge, like, bay window, and the window, you can just look out of it, and you can see, like, the backyard and stuff. Well, this particular day, it was like there was just something different. Like, I could see in the sky, like, it was nice and blue outside, then all of a sudden I started seeing, like, almost like a whirlwind was happening. But as it was happening, I could see these planets were just coming into our atmosphere, and it was just so crazy. So it's like I saw this is what I saw. I saw, like, these planets, they were kind of like whirling around each other. This is like an orange planet that I saw. And then I remember seeing this blue planet that had like these little black craters all over it. And then I saw this planet here, which was shaped like an egg. It was shaped like an egg, and then had these rings around it. And this particular planet was blue. It was almost like this kind of blue throughout the planet. And then it had these rings around it. And it was like I could see these things. It was almost like I could see it happening outside, but then also it was like zoomed in, like, to my face, where I can see the detail of each planet. And it was like the planets were moving slow enough where I can kind of see the detail of these planets. And then they would begin to move quickly again. And I remember also seeing this planet here. And this planet reminds me of the planet Nibiru. Like, these colors, like the red and kind of the gaseous clouds, but red is what really just jumps out. And if this particular planet, say if this was Earth, this is how big, like, one of my other dreams, when I was saying that planet was big, the previous dream I had posted before this one, this is like, really doesn't even describe how big this planet is. But say that this was Earth, and this is how big this planet is. Like, it was huge when I saw this planet, like in my other dream. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. That was.
I didn't find her name, but this lady of strong faith posts her videos on the YouTube channel God's Vessel 78. And this dream account was posted on April 2nd, 2019. One particular detail in her dream caught my attention because of something I saw previously. I'll play that segment again.
This is what I saw. I saw, like, these planets, they were kind of like whirling around each other. This is like an orange planet that I saw. And then I remember seeing this blue planet that had like these little black craters all over it.
It's this blue object that strikes an interesting comparison with my own experience. You see, I also had a Planet X dream about 5 years ago. Now, in order to mention my dream here, there's an important factor that must be addressed. When the dream occurred back in 2018, I was, during that time, fully engaged in research and documentation on the subject of Planet X and all that pertains to it. This labor had been going on for about 6 years already, and so the question has to be raised, isn't it likely that a constant flow of research and observation like that could cause you to dream about the subject? And I would think definitely yes. I suppose that to a large extent, people's dreams are triggered and driven by the experiences, situations, and events in our daily journey through life. So, on this basis, I presumed my dream was merely a natural result of overexposure and ongoing occupation with the subject. And those kind of dreams are not what we're looking for. Consider this. If a dream about Planet X and all that is in fact nothing more than a mental montage from the flurry of subject matter encountered over the days and weeks, there's nothing of significant footing in that dream information. The value we require is where a dream about Planet X and associated aspects is in reality a revelation about future, past, or present real situations. In a revelation such as this, we can receive additional insight or knowledge, or we are given warning and instruction about things that are otherwise beyond our reach, outside of our view. Going back to what I was saying about my dream in 2018, I mentioned that at the time I pretty much disqualified my dream as being of any useful significance due to considerations such as we've covered here. But now there's another consideration that has to be brought in. Question: how much of your dreams from last night, for example, do you remember clearly the next day? Even now, as I run a mind search, what dreams can I remember from the last 30 days? And you know, nothing's coming to mind. I'm aware that I do have dreams and all that going on, and you kind of just know, even if you don't remember them, that you're having a flow of dreams every night. However, there are about 5 or 6 dreams from past years that are right here in my mind, still accessible. A few of the dreams I'm thinking of occurred more than 40 years ago. Unlike the regular dreams that we don't remember the next day, these significant dreams remain accessible and remarkably imprinted on our mind in such a way that after years and years have gone by, we still remember the significant dream. Often, parts of it remain profoundly clear in our recollection. So, how is it that some dreams remain accessible while the vast majority are very fleeting and disappear entirely from our accessible memory? In one of those dreams that I still remember after so many years, I was standing on a flat segment of ground about the size of a car parking space. This was severed from the ground, and it was hovering over the land. I was standing on this while it was traveling across the city. My view was of like a whole city, distant enough to see its size and its boundary. But also, I could see like mountains in the distance. So, while traveling on this hover-gliding piece of ground, I was being shown a massive earthquake across the entire city as the buildings and roads were shaking and breaking up, and in general structures were coming apart and falling. So that earthquake dream, as I said, occurred in 1981, yet I still remember it. The same holds true for the dream I had in 2018. Here's what happened in the dream. I was somewhere in the city, standing at about the 3rd floor stairway of a building. It was an external, outdoor stairway, and my view was out over the city. At this point, there were like announcements or radio hosts broadcasting about the soon arrival and passage of Planet X or Nibiru. There were also broadcasts going on reminding people to figure out what each of their plans are, or each family's plan, and also telling everybody in general to not delay getting yourself sheltered or protected and to getting a plan in place somehow. I understood in the dream that everybody now knew about the Planet X entourage, because everybody could now see these huge planets and debris in the sky above us. However, I want to point out here that, as for me, I didn't see any huge planets in my dream. And the main reason is I never looked up at the sky in this part of the dream. This wasn't intentional, it just wasn't in my thinking. You see, in the dream, I wasn't looking for Planet X or thinking about it. I was just there and heard those announcements and media broadcasts. But in the dream, I wasn't thinking about Planet X until I heard the subject in those broadcasts. Then the scene changed. I was now at a seaside location, like somewhere in San Diego or Malibu, etc. And now in this setting, I was seeing a big thing, like an asteroid in the sky. It wasn't big and spherical enough to be a planet. It was more like a huge asteroid. The color of this giant flying rock was a dull, darkish blue, and I could see these prominent round-shaped holes all over the surface. Deep craters with kind of what seemed like a rim around the circle perimeter on the surface of the large rock asteroid. One thing that makes it hard to describe is that in the dream it wasn't an asteroid, but it also wasn't a planet. It was more like one big piece among tons of debris and many such objects that were part of this whole mess that is moving through the space that normally is reserved for just Earth, Moon, and the regular planets, etc. At any rate, when I saw this illustration from that lady's dream, it certainly caught my attention that she depicted the object with specifically that color, which is notably the same color as the thing I saw. And I had a fairly good look at it, too. I was standing, near the beach, and there was plenty of other people around, all of them seeing it, too. And the mood about it was just a kind of total disconnect. We just didn't know what to think of it. These flying solid rock things were not moving in the kind of trajectory that could make sense. They seemed to be in their own set of physical laws, and that's about it. So this dream, still after 5 years, is present near the surface of my recollection. The same as those other dreams that I had decades ago. We've noted the peculiarity that while most dreams completely disappear from accessible memory, there are a few dream experiences that remain visible in our daytime memory. Thus, should we assume that all dreams that remain are important revelations about something? And no, that would be a mistake. It's generally understood that a lot of our dreams are pretty much like a blizzard of random ideas and things in our mind. Thus, if this is the case, then why would we waste time examining dreams for insight regarding Planet X? The answer is that we also know that some special dreams are in fact a divine gift of insight or revelation or precognition about something. We have historical examples in the Old and New Testaments. Take, for example, the events in Genesis chapter 41. To paraphrase, back in the centuries around 1800 BC, Pharaoh of Egypt has had 2 very disturbing dreams that left such an impact upon him that he urgently sought after someone who could give an interpretation. It turns out these dreams were a prophecy or a warning given to the Pharaoh concerning a famine that was coming, and it was detailed in the dreams that there would be 7 more years of plenty to get ready and prepare, and then would follow 7 years of famine. Responding to the information and warning in his dream, Pharaoh commissioned the right people, Joseph in particular, to take action and manage the preparation for what was coming. And as history played out, the revelation that was given to Pharaoh and understood by Joseph was a tremendous benefit to Egypt and many travelers who came in the struggle to survive the famine. Thus, Pharaoh's dream was a life-saving advantage. It was a correct prophecy of something of critical importance that was yet in the future, but did come to pass in reality. In another example from the Old Testament, we have the dream of Nebuchadnezzar, king of ancient Babylon, in the book of Daniel. In chapter 2, we find that Nebuchadnezzar's dream was a prophetic vision concerning future kingdoms or political nation-states that would rise in the world. The succession of these world powers extended far beyond Nebuchadnezzar's time and on through what we would call the latter days or end times of the world. In these two examples, we have the situation where a person received an extraordinary dream that was indeed a vision or revelation of future events. Now, regarding my Planet X dream in 2018, I'd like to raise one final observation. Earlier, we considered the argument that my dream may have been merely a result of my ongoing interest and research in the subject for years. So here's a question to weigh in on that. If my dream in 2018 was simply the result of my mind being occupied daily with the subject, then why did I not have any Planet X dream throughout the years before 2018? You see, for 8 years, from 2010 through 2018, I was every bit as involved on that subject as I was in 2018, but I didn't have any retainable dreams about Planet X in all those years. And moreover, through all the years after 2018 up to the present, here in 2023, my research and interest in the subject has continued the same. But I haven't had any additional Planet X dreams throughout the years since 2018. On to another incredible revelatory dream. We have a lady whose vision was posted on YouTube in March of 2019. I wasn't able to find her name anywhere, but the YouTube channel is called S Park. So, for the moment, I'll call her Spark. Let's listen now to her account.
I want to tell you guys about a dream I had quite a few years ago, but I haven't really had the courage to do this until now, and even now I'm very nervous, so excuse me if I stutter or make a mistake. Okay, let me get right to it. So this was more like a waking vision. I felt like I was there. I saw colors. I felt heat. So I remember exiting the front porch of a house. I step out of this mesh screen door, and out of the right-hand side of my vision, I see the sun, and it's very bright, and it's illuminating the entire, it's midday, it's bright. All of a sudden, there's another object, planetary object. I don't know if it's the moon or a different planet, but it keeps eclipsing the sun. And as it does this, the day is getting dimmer and dimmer. And finally, it eclipses the whole thing, and day turns into night. Okay, just like that. Day turns into night. It's pitch dark. And out of the left-hand side, I don't know if this is your right, but this is my left-hand side, I see a huge planet. And we're talking humongous, like it's covering the entire sky, and it's pretty much on us. It's not even coming towards us, it's on us. And it's massive. I could feel the heat emanating from it. I could see the ribbons of fire that are jumping off of this planet. It looks like Mars, but in my spirit, I felt like it wasn't Mars. It's massive, it's volcanic, and the flames are bright red with fire dancing in a ribbon-like pattern. And many people have already had dreams like this, but I can tell you that it's my dream. This is my dream. This really happened to me. And I could feel the heat. I could feel my skin blistering. And as it came closer, I felt like all of the Earth's structures, whether there were trees or houses, it felt like they were being pulled towards this planet. And we felt the electromagnetic pull being pulled from our bodies, and so this was happening, and out of the corner of my eye to the right again, I saw fireballs fall and just torch the earth, just burn down buildings and animals and cars and whatever was in its way. It was just falling, and scared out of my mind, but this was the most important part of the dream, and that was the fact that I felt like I was being pulled towards this planet.
She goes on from there with a few thoughts about what could be the meaning of her dream, and in particular, the aspect of being pulled upward by this colossal planet that's right there blocking the entire sky. On this point, we have a rather startling pattern, revealing a perhaps unexpected aspect of the day of visitation, when these planets come into position where their presence conflicts with our world. Let's listen again to Spark's description of this.
And as it came closer, I felt like all of the Earth's structures, whether there were trees or houses, it felt like they were being pulled towards this planet. But this was the most important part of the dream, and that was the fact that I felt like I was being pulled towards this planet.
With Spark's comments in view, let's listen again to some of what Jason says.
But I saw the sky was red, and then all of a sudden, this planet is just there. It had like craters all over it, and it had a red mist coming off of it, and all of a sudden I feel my feet getting lifted out from underneath of me, and I'm getting dragged. I mean, I am literally getting dragged into this thing. I am flying through the air. I've got objects flying next to me, other people, and let me tell you something, this is the most scared I think I've ever been in my life after a dream.
In my view, it is significant and compelling that a detail like this is reported by both of these unassociated individuals, of seeing people and things lifting off the ground, being pulled skyward. Let's bring in another person now, who also encountered these things in her dream experience. Miss Rebecca Robert Smith shared her experience on YouTube on 21st of August, 2021.
Back on November 13th of 2015, so almost 6 years ago now, I had a dream that night, and so I'll go ahead and read you the Facebook post I posted back then. I'm talking about probably the worst dream I ever had. Well, I mean, yeah, pretty bad, so I'll go ahead and read it. Alright. In the dream, I was cleaning a condo close to the beach, and this was in Gulf Shores, by the way, Alabama. And I go outside, and I look up at the sky, and there's a big tree branch flying over, and other stuff like a tornado almost. It looked like a tornado was coming or something in the sky. It was a pretty summer looking beach day, like warm enough people were at the beach. But then like the weather was getting super windy and the clouds were getting dark and gloomy and almost like a tornado or a hurricane or something was coming. And so I walked across the road to get closer to the beach, and in the sky are all the planets lined up and stars falling. I tried to draw like a rough sketch of it, and this is like the ocean and the sand, and it was like dark, stormy clouds, and stars were literally falling, zooming down. Alright, so I'll keep on reading. So I had walked across the beach and was looking up at the sky at this point, like she's looking up. And that's how close they were, too. But it was a lot of planets. I don't know if it was all 9 or what, but it was a lot of planets. Like, I could reach out and touch them. Things were going from right to left in the sky. I walked to the beach, and in the sky are planets.
I need to pause here to point out a detail she just described. Rebecca said that in her dream, these planets and things were going from right to left in the sky. And one big reason why that is significant is this. In the video footage we looked at earlier from January 27th, 2021, this object that we tracked across the sky is moving from right to left, along with all the stuff that's with it. Again, the date of this footage was January 27th, 2021. Now, another event we observed was from August 17th, 2020, Cancun Park Royal. And here, the spherical objects are again traveling from right to left. This is demonstrated in this video in the segment from about 12 minutes to 17 minutes. At any rate, it is interesting that Rebecca stated this detail in her dream, and then we see it in real life here in these webcam views. I've shown 2 examples here, yet there are numerous more different dates and locations where we see the same phenomena. We'll continue now from where we left off with Rebecca's dream.
And in the sky are planets lined up all on each side, and stars were falling. It was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Just the colors of the planets alone, with each one descending in distance. It was the scariest thing I have ever seen also, as I realized things were starting to get pulled into the sky. Okay, so I watched in horror while things were seeming to get slowly pulled into the sky and realized it must be a loss of gravity. Frozen, I watched as the ocean started slowly raining upwards, like even the water was pulling upwards slowly. I turned around and ran, grabbing Jaden and Jesse, that's my 2 boys. But there were so many people pushing and shoving. The kids were several feet ahead, running before a huge tsunami rushed in, killing us all. I woke up screaming in horror, feeling like I had truly drowned and unable to shake the feeling. That was a week ago, and I still feel sick. I mean, I literally could not shake it. I felt sick as if that had really happened. I was thinking it was a loss of gravity because things were being pulled up. If anybody's ever seen anything similar, any videos similar, I'd love to hear this.
Wow. So here we have a third person with that same element in her dream of things being pulled upward in connection with seeing these Nemesis system planets. Let's listen to another dream vision account.
Hello, good morning everybody. Today is November the 19th of 2020, and I'm coming to share with you a dream I had last night, or actually early this morning before I woke up. It was right before I woke up. It was the planets again. We were on, I don't know how to explain this. All I know is I was in a place of safety, and we were looking down on the earth, and we were above the earth. That's why I'm showing you like this, because I'm trying to get you to see what I was seeing. We were above the earth, and we could look out this window and see, and I knew that something really bad was about to happen to the earth. And all was, like I said, how it happened first is I'm on the earth We see my husband and I see the planets. And then there was this planet, it's like we always call it the red planet. It was like this big, huge red planet. But it was more like a rust color, like the color of rust. It was like that color, okay? And it became prominent in my vision, and it was by the earth. And we could see that something really bad was going to happen on the earth, and we had to pray. Okay, so that's all there was to the dream.
Before moving to the next account, let's take note of a few salient points in Andrea's dream. She says, "We were above the earth, looking down on the earth, and there was this big, huge red planet, rust red in color." Then she goes on further to emphasize twice, saying, "And I knew that something really bad was about to happen to the earth." Now there's a problem with that statement, and the problem is that Andrea's dream is correct. The visitation of this thing is going to deal out unimaginable destruction around the world. Let's listen to one more dream that comes into this Planet X category, and then we'll bring this discussion to a close.
It is February the 1st, 2016. I want to tell you about a dream I had night before last. And I've got a very amateur drawing of what I saw, and I'm going to show that to you now. This is the layout of what I saw. Clearly, this was the sun. I understood it was. Absolutely, no question about it. And then there was this, and that's pretty much the same sizing that I saw as far as ratio to size. Up here, there was another sphere that had this grayish look to it. You know how sometimes when you look at the moon, you see a sphere, but part of it is lighter and then part of it is darker. That's what this looked like, but it was not the moon. It was another sphere that was in connection with this group here. And then over here to this side was a very small one. Now this is exactly what I saw in my dream in the sky. Now I'm going to finish telling you about the rest of the dream. I have had dreams of seeing planets in the sky, and we'll talk about that at another time. But I have never seen two suns. And the fact that they were so clear, it was absolutely clear, the sphere shape and what they were. This was the sun, and I knew this was over here by the sun than just this. But anyway, as I arrived at work, me and some others were discussing what we had seen, because others had seen this as well, where, let me flip this up. I want to read this because this is my thoughts on the dream more accurately than what I can recall. Okay. That was my original drawing, so I wouldn't forget. But anyway, I'll let you look at that wonderful artwork while I read this. It said, I wanted to take a picture, but I was too busy driving. Once at work, some others and I were discussing what we had seen. We knew it meant something bad. Bad things were coming. We knew it meant a life-altering event on Earth. We knew death would result. It was even discussed that since they knew what was coming, everyone should be allowed to just spend time with their families, because what was coming made the work seem pointless. None of it would matter afterward anyway.
Thus far in this video, we've met 9 different individuals reciting the events in their dream regarding the Planet X system. The first one was the brief clip at the beginning of this video. We played only about 20 seconds from her narrative of about 8 minutes long. There are, of course, more details of profound interest that she describes, and originally, when I set out to compile this documentary, I was planning to include the rest of her narrative, as well as an additional 4 more video accounts from people who've seen and felt these things in dream experiences. But this video has grown longer than expected, and in order to cover everything, we'll need to do a second episode. So for the moment, I'll skip the additional testimonies that I had planned to include in this video. At any rate, the 9 accounts we've touched on thus far are a tiny sample of the multitude of people having generally the same extraordinary vision regarding the Nemesis planetary system. In closing, I wanted to recap a few of the details we've encountered in this video. I started assembling those synopsis points, but in doing so, it brings me back to the opinion that the best solution is to just rewatch the video. Using myself to illustrate the point, even though I'm the one who assembled this info, in watching the video over again, I'm a little surprised and inspired by the things seen in the webcam footage and by the extraordinary details and aspects of the dream accounts shown here. So, no synopsis, and instead, a suggestion that watching the video again can be beneficial in grasping the information. I'm not saying to watch it again right now, but at a later time when the brain can take it in. So until next time, à bientôt. That's French for goodbye and see you later, maybe.